So let's talk about the golden age of Athens. It was this incredible burst of creativity in art, architecture, philosophy, you name it. But as we're about to see, all that shining perfection had a pretty dark side.
I know, that's a pretty bold claim to make. But the story of the Parthenon, which is really the crown jewel of ancient Athens, is just full of secrets. It was designed from the ground up to look absolutely flawless. But that beauty, it was hiding a much, much more complicated truth. Okay, so what exactly was the Parthenon? On the surface, it's a temple for the city's goddess, Athena. But it was so much more than that. Think of it as a giant marble billboard advertising the power, the wealth, and just the sheer brilliance of Athens to the entire world. Now, to really get what makes the Parthenon so special, you need a quick crash course in Greek architecture. They basically had these three main styles or orders. You have Doric, which is sturdy and strong, Ionic, which is a bit more slender and elegant, and then Corinthian, which is the really fancy one. The Parthenon uses that Doric order for its exterior. You can see it in those powerful, solid-looking columns. It's a style that just screams strength and harmony. And here is where it gets mind-blowing. This is the big secret. The architects, a couple of geniuses named Ictinus and Callicrates, knew something fascinating about our eyes. Perfectly straight, long lines actually appear to sag in the middle. So what did they do? They built the Parthenon with almost no straight lines at all. The columns actually bulge out, and the floor gently curves upward. They engineered these tiny imperfections everywhere so that when you stand back and look at it, your brain sees it as perfectly, impossibly straight. It's an illusion of perfection. I mean, it's an absolute marvel, right? A total triumph. But all that genius, all that pristine marble and gold, well, that costs a fortune. Which brings up a really important question. Who footed the bill for all this? And yeah, here's the uncomfortable answer. Athens was the leader of this defensive alliance called the Delian League. All the other Greek city-states in the league paid into a shared treasury for mutual defense. Well, Athens decided to move that treasury to their city, and then they used it as their own personal piggy bank to fund their entire golden age. This stunning temple was paid for with money taken from their so-called allies, who had absolutely no say in the matter. So this lands us right in the middle of a huge dilemma. Once you know how the Parthenon was paid for, does it change how you see it? It's tough, right? You have to hold both truths in your head at the same time. It's one of humanity's greatest achievements, but it's built on a morally shaky foundation. And that's a question that just keeps coming up throughout history. But the Golden Age wasn't just about building amazing things out of stone. The Athenians were also building whole new ways of thinking. So let's shift gears now from the world of marble to the world of the mind. You could say Athens basically became the world's first university town. And three legendary schools of philosophy popped up, all trying to answer the biggest questions you can imagine. What's real? How should we live? And how do we actually know anything for sure? The two biggest names, of course, were Plato and his student Aristotle. And they couldn't have been more different. For Plato, the world we see is just a shadow of a higher, perfect reality, a world of pure forms. To find truth, he said, you have to look upward, beyond the physical stuff. But Aristotle? He was like, no way. He argued that truth is found by looking outward, by carefully observing, studying, and understanding the real physical world that's right here in front of us. And then there was a third major school, Stoicism, which offered a completely different path. The Stoics believed that the entire universe is governed by a divine reason, something they called the logos. It's like a universal intelligence baked into the fabric of reality. And their big radical idea was that all people everywhere share a piece of this logos, which unites all of us into one big cosmic community. That idea would become hugely influential later on. Okay, so we've got breathtaking architecture and some pretty high-level philosophy. But what about the average person in Athens? For them, the most important cultural space wasn't Plato's academy, it was the public theater. Just get a load of that number. 17,000. The Theater of Dionysus could seat 17,000 people. Let that sink in. This wasn't some small, exclusive venue for the rich. This was a massive public stage designed for basically the entire city. And here's the really crucial part. Theater wasn't just entertainment. It was seen as a vital civic duty. The government actually paid poorer citizens to attend so that no one was left out.
It was a space where the whole community could come together to explore huge questions about fate and justice through tragedies, or to have a good laugh at their own politicians in the comedies. It was an education for the heart as much as the mind. Now, like all golden ages, Athens' time at the top eventually came to an end, with war and defeat. But the story doesn't stop there. In a truly wild twist of history, Greek culture outlasted Greek power and ended up conquering the world. A lot of this was thanks to one person, Alexander the Great. As his armies marched all the way from Greece to India, they weren't just conquering land, they were spreading culture. Every new city he founded, like the famous Alexandria in Egypt, became a brand new hub for Greek language, Greek art, and Greek ideas, spreading them far and wide. And then came the Romans. Now, the Romans were the undisputed military and political masters of the world, but when it came to culture, they were completely starstruck by the Greeks. They copied their architecture, they rewrote Greek plays into Latin, and wealthy Romans hired Greek tutors to teach their kids philosophy. They knew that while they had the muscle, the Greeks had the brains. The Roman poet Horace summed it up perfectly with this brilliant line: "Captive Greece captured its fierce conqueror." In other words, Rome might have won the war, but Greek culture ended up winning the peace. The ideas born in Athens had conquered their conqueror. All of which brings us to a final thought for today. The Greeks truly believed their public spaces, the theater, the public square, were essential for their moral and emotional growth. So what about us? Where do we go as a community to reflect on big ideas, to feel something together, and maybe become better citizens? What are our modern Parthenons and theaters? It's something to think about.